I'd heard that at the combine, some of the Knicks people, just in having conversations, they were saying that, they were really impressed with Kevin Huerter after, I guess, what Huerter did to them in the playoffs. And they were part of the Knicks messaging. I don't know if it was messaging, but something that was being said was like, let's look for the next Kevin Huerter in this draft. Like, who's going to be the next Kevin Huerter? And obviously, if you draft a player like that, 19, 21, or wherever, and he ends up producing the way Huerter has, you hit a home run. Who would you say has the potential to make that Kevin Huerter type leap that's in this draft?
I think it is Springer. I do. And I say that because when you go to a playoff team, especially as a young guy, there's not a lot of pressure. The biggest thing for you is fitting in and finding your niche and understanding you have a job to do. I'm looking at his ceiling. I'm not looking at him right now. I'm looking at him as year 3, year 4 in the NBA. And especially having patience, right? The Knicks, if they're a perennial playoff team, we drafted Kevin Knox a couple of years ago. And Kevin Knox is an extremely talented kid. But when you draft in the lottery, you need someone to produce right now, kind of, sort of. And that's no knock to their young talent. But guys want to win now. It's New York City. And what happens if you don't win right away and you start looking around, it's like, man, we've had these draft picks and they're not producing. Well, when you're taking, in the lottery, I'm the guy who's a former coach who's, looking big picture. And you talk about year 2, year 3, year 4. I think he's the guy. I think he's the guy. I think based on everything he's done through high school, everything he's, his year at Tennessee, watching what he does, watching how he plays. I think he's the guy. And I think when you take someone at 18, 19, just let's traditionally through the history of the draft, look at the guys that's been in those numbers. There've been some solid guys, man, really solid guys. Yep. They've had an opportunity to grow into a role.
What do you think about a guy like Corey Kispert? I know he isn't, I guess, the sexiest name, but he is somebody, he was a great shooter for Gonzaga when he was there at college. What do you think? How do you think he would fit in with the Knicks, especially since they desperately need more shooting?
I just think based on, how Coach Tibbs, what he wants, I'm not sure if he's ever had a specialty guy. And with all due respect, I think you have to be able to, your pros have to outweigh your cons. If you get 12, you can't give up 15. If you get 12, you can't give up 13. It's a manifestation of who your coach is and how he plays. I know when we watch Tibbs, the first thing we think about a defensive-oriented, defensive-minded coach. But he and I think what he never gets credit for is that he plays in transition, because if you get stops, then you can play in transition. So he doesn't micromanage you. You have to understand who you're playing for.